Good morning, guys. How you doing? It's Stephen here with an impromptu video at 20 past 10 on a Tuesday morning. The day Manchester City play Bodo Glimt tonight over in Norway. I've not done a preview of that. I might just try and do a quick preview after this video. But I needed to go live because there's some breaking news about Oscar Bobb. Oscar Bobb. I'm really disappointed how this has panned out, by the way, massively. I'll get on to my opinions on this in a bit, but I am genuinely disappointed. I think it's a real shame. Anyway, I am a little bit groggy still. I'm having my coffee, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm not fully there yet. I'm one of those little snobs who's got like a cup with a handle on because it makes it really fun. You know what I mean? It looks more. I feel like I'm in an actual coffee shop here. Anyway, good morning to Ken, to Ryan, to Harrison, to 3D Dream Cloud Studio, to Destech, to Matt in the chat. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you very much for joining me as always. Yeah, do give the video a like. It does help support a lifelong Manchester City fan. Just creating these videos for free. I ask nothing back from you guys other than just giving the video a like or subscribing. I would like this year to be the year I get to 100,000. I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen because I don't make enough videos and I'm not creative enough to get it. But if I get to 85, 90, I'd be buzzing. So let's try and get to... I want to get to 77,000, so I need another 783, I reckon. So let's go for it. If you're watching right now, get me to 100k. I want that plaque more than anything. I really want it. Help me get there, please. Anyway, I think I deserve it personally. Right, so let's go over to the news. The news is as follows. The breaking news was actually from Fabrizio Romano. I'll go to Fab stuff first. Fabrizio Romano had this exclusive about 25 minutes ago. It said, Fulham in talks to sign Oscar Bobb on permanent deal from Man City. Proposal around 35 million on the table and being negotiated with City. Dortmund remain key since December, but set to decide about bidding or not soon. So Fabrizio Romano had the exclusive there. Unfortunately, that's the latest news there. And then David Ornstein as well has just gone on it too for The Athletic, saying that he's expected to be sold by City before the transfer window closes on February the 2nd, with the possibility of developments this week. There's interest from the Premier League, Germany and Portugal, with City opening to letting him leave if the conditions are right. Likely take an offer of around 30 million quid or 40 million euros for a deal to be done. I think this is all probably accurate. I think this is all a knock-on effect, of course, of multiple signings. Where do I feel about this? Yeah, someone said it's weird to think, but Dortmund can't outbid Fulham. No, of course they can't, mate. The Premier League's cash rich. It's flush with money compared to the Bundesliga. So, but Fulham definitely can afford more than Dortmund. But how do I feel about this? I feel mixed feelings, if I'm being honest. I feel like many things can be right, but also hurt. I could also be potentially wrong at the same time. I'm not quite as devastated as I was about the Cole Palmer transfer. I knew in my gut that Cole Palmer was set to explode and be cracking. I know Palmer's dipped a little bit, but I think that's the environment. But I still think Cole Palmer, I was right on my gut that Cole Palmer was more of a shoe-in, in my opinion, for the right wing slot of Man City than Oscar Bobb was. I mean, Cole Palmer should have been playing as a right winger for Man City regularly because he was a Mahrez level goal scorer with confidence and creativity. And I was devastated about that because I knew 50 million wouldn't even come close to the level of talent that he's got. And I feel like I was justified. I remember people saying I was overreacting, that it was good business for City. And I would suggest the fact that we've been thrashing around for wingers since then would suggest that I was sort of right, that Cole Palmer was too good to let go. And I don't know if I feel that quite as strongly with this. Now, the full context for me is I've been watching Oscar Bobb since he joined Manchester City like 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. As a 16-year-old from Vålerenga, and I know just how talented this young man is. I truly believe he is as talented as anyone you could expect to be from Manchester City winger. Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to be the greatest ever, blah, blah, blah. But I truly believe he is a cracking talent with all the technical ability and all the skill that you need to play as a Manchester City winger. But I do feel that everyone has a window, a chance to stake their claim, and it is finite. Unfortunately, it doesn't go on forever, and I think unfortunately Oscar Bobb's window has shrunk and shrunk. And someone asked, Emperor asked in the chat, do I go to academy games? I don't, mate. I've got no chance to get out for academy games anymore. I'm hoping to start going when my kids are a bit older, but right now I can't leave Nicola. I can't leave Nicola on her own with two babies and swan off to watch the under-18s. It feels a bit wrong. But yeah, but I've not watched much of this current generation, but I know Oscar Bobb very well. And Oscar Bobb, I feel has sadly dipped a little bit. This is my gut instinct. I was saying this at the start of the season. If you follow me on Twitter, if you watch these videos around August, September, I remember I was saying I was a little bit concerned about Oscar Bobb. Let me know in the chat if you remember me saying that. And I got a lot of kickback saying he's just recovered from injury and so on. It wasn't that for me. It was a feeling that there was something a little bit different about Oscar Bobb back then. I might be wrong. But I felt that Oscar Bobb was playing within himself a little bit. I felt he wasn't as expressive. I felt he didn't look quite sharp. I don't think it's physicality. I think a lot of it's maybe mental. I think the break was quite dramatic. Thanks, Emperor. Appreciated. But I think like he's lost a bit of explosiveness. By the way, the explosiveness, a lot of that usually is like sort of confidence as well. He still can dart past people in the area. We can see that. But I look at a player that I adored, and I felt a year and a half ago was set to be an absolute superstar. And I've watched him since then just be a little bit passive, I would argue. There was Guardiola's words after the Leverkusen game. I keep coming back to them. They've stuck in my mind for a reason. Like, Guardiola said after the Leverkusen game that, you know, the biggest issue was that the players didn't try. And what he meant by that wasn't that they weren't in the right position. Wasn't that they weren't running and all that kind of stuff. He was talking about being brave, you know. You got to score the goals, guys, as Guardiola once said. There's a clip in it of Guardiola several years ago saying, "You got to score the fucking goals, guys." And essentially, great players are brave. Great players, they aren't afraid to make mistakes. And I think right now we've got too many players, and I think Oscar's one of them, that are playing within themselves who aren't willing to take the game by the scruff of the neck and force the issue. Now, Oscar does all his jobs defensively. He presses really aggressively. He's very smart on the ball. He keeps it really nicely. But I think Oscar needs to be a lot more assertive because Manchester City need him to be something that right now maybe he can't be. They need him to be a goal-scoring, attacking, creative winger. He's not getting assists and he's not getting the goals. That, unfortunately, those numbers matter. And I understand his overall game is good and he's talented and all that kind of stuff. But I think the reason I feel differently is because I think the best version of Oscar Bobb does actually have goals and assists. And for whatever reason, he's not there right now. And as much as we talk about his injury, that was nearly a year ago. Like that, he started training again in March last year. It's been 9-10 months since then. Like, since he returned to training. I'm not... Let me Google it just to double check. I swear. Oscar Bobb returns to training. Blimey. So, Oscar Bobb actually returned to training over a year ago after his injury. So, there we go. January 2025. I know he got another injury after that. It was February again when he came back as well. He came back again in February. Like, it's been a long time. Like, the injury was a long time ago, and he's been fit and training for an awful long time. And I know recovery isn't linear. I know that it takes a long time to build your confidence. But I guess at some point he's going to just have to show it. I feel there's been frustration here, and there's been an issue at some point. Oscar Bobb, as far as I know, is a really nice lad. He's incredibly confident, very nice. I don't know if he's incredibly confident. He's incredibly polite and assertive. He's a nice man, and they like him at the academy. They like him at City, and Pep's always been a big fan of him. The national team coach for Norway was quite scathing of him recently. And when I watched the quotes last night, when I read the quotes last night from Guardiola, let me read him on Oscar Bobb. And if you watch it, let me find it. They're quite telling. It was disappointing. So here we go. Guardiola said, "I don't know. I have no idea about his fitness. He says he's fit. He says he's not fit, so he's not fit." If you watched it, Guardiola just went... he just sighed after it. He looked frustrated, Guardiola. Now, I don't know what it is. Maybe he's not fit, but with these moves coming right now, it feels to me like... something's happened, be it injury frustration, be it performance frustration. But Guardiola, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I could be getting 5 instead of 4, admittedly. But there's been talk about certain players hiding, not trying. There's been a lot of frustration with injuries. And I feel like if Oscar's saying he's injured, or Guardiola's talking about certain players hiding, and for what it's worth, I do think he was hiding a little bit, Oscar. I think he's way more, he's got way more ability than, he's showing right now. I feel we've reached a bit of an impasse, unfortunately, and they can't get past something. And I do wonder sometimes if a fresh, change of scenery would be good for him. My worry here is, and this sounds really cruel to James McAtee if he's watching, but my worry here is that Oscar Bobb's going to McAtee this. So when McAtee has gone to Forest and barely playing, and he's chosen the wrong club, and his career sort of stalled a bit. Whereas I think Oscar Bobb could, not quite Cole Palmer, but he could definitely explode a little bit and become a cracking player. I think he's got all the potential to do that. But I do think right now it's not working for him at City. And I think a lot of it is mental. I might be wrong there. It might be fitness entirely. But I think Oscar Bobb isn't the assertive goal scorer, that he was in the academy sides. And I do think, unfortunately, right now where City are at, we're at a crossroads where we're shifting up half the squad. We're trying to find new ideas, new energy, new rhythms. We're trying to work out what this new Manchester City looks like. I don't think there can be any passengers. And as much as I think Guardiola wants Oscar Bobb to work, and I think he did want him to work, I think there's some friction there between the two somehow or some way. It's very obvious to me that what felt so loving, and Guardiola talks so positively about Oscar Bobb and his pressing and his intelligence, and he was at the start of the season, he was glowing of him. It's gone sour, and I don't know why. And I saw someone on Twitter I follow yesterday saying, Guardiola's treated him badly, he hasn't got a chance. Could be true, because Semenyo's been playing poorly. But I would counter that by saying that might be true, but we forget that 90% of a footballer's job doesn't happen on the football pitch. It happens away from the pitch, on the training ground, in recovery rooms, day to day. And there is only so much information that we are privy to as fans. And I think this is where the frustration or the disconnect often comes from when we're fans. We can only judge ever what we see on the pitch. Like, we might be saying, Oscar Bobb should be starting every week. We're not saying you should say that, but some people might be saying that. You might be, and I could be wrong. And there's a big caveat here, asterisk. I might be wrong, but he might be. I feel like I need a visible asterisk that I put above myself when I'm making a point. He might be stinking out in training. Like, what if he's just not playing well in training? What if he's just not scoring goals in training, not creating chances? Like, does he deserve a chance then? What if he's like constantly like, I don't feel fit and I can't get going? And Pep's like, right, okay. Does he deserve a chance then? Like, I'm not saying that's happening. I'm saying, but is it possible? And I'm trying to think of explanations of why this has gone so sour. Because I think Oscar Bobb is a cracking player. He's loads of talent. But something's happened there. Look, Oscar, if you're watching this somehow, I don't know, if you sat at home and you clicked on to find what you're on, I think you're a brilliant player. I think you do. And I think you have all the talent in the world. I mean, you're going to be a special player. And it's fine if it doesn't work out at Manchester City Football Club. It's fine. Just go somewhere else and make a career. But I think the Norway manager frustrations, and obviously Pep seems frustrated by it. I don't know what's going on there. But it feels like whatever it is right now, the environment isn't perfect for this player, and it feels like this is the right move. It feels like things have just sort of gone a bit stale, and that is, to me, telling. I feel that Oscar Bobb probably needs this move. It's one of those things where City are in such a state of flux that changes are going to happen. And 35 million quid, 30 million quid, I don't know if there'll be a buyback in that. I would suggest City put a buyback in it. I do think he was different, by the way, before his leg break. He was definitely like 10% quicker, 10% more darty, 10% more aggressive. I feel like it's the aggression. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't see him scoring goals right now. That's the thing, is Oscar Bobb. I'd love to see the stats from the academy, but I swear Oscar Bobb scored 15, 20 goals a season. I can't remember. I'll see if I ever can find it. Oscar Bobb goals for academy. Let's see if we can find it. Is it a find? I don't know how to find it, but I know he scored regularly. But he was scoring regularly for the academy. I mean, I know because I watched the games. And he was playing as a false 9, as a 10. So Saro, I've just literally talked about him, mate, about 5 minutes ago. You might have just joined the video, but I was talking a lot about Pep's comments, and I think there's frustration there from Pep. Like, Pep wasn't saying those comments in anger; he was saying them in frustration. The sigh after he said it to me was very telling, and I think unfortunately, the writing's on the wall here. Fulham, I hope Fulham will be a good move for him. Let's have a look at how Fulham are currently playing and getting on under Marco Silva. They are currently sat 11th in the Premier League, so obviously Craven Cottage is a great place to play. A cracking side. I really like Fulham as a club in general. I think they are, they've got a lot of character and they're likeable. And in terms of how they play, look, right now on the right, you've got Semenyo. You think he'd walk into that role, in theory. You've got Wilson playing as a 10, Smith Rowe there. I mean, you can play in multiple positions here. Semenyon's a good player, but I would have Oscar Bobb there instead, personally. You go over to the Bournemouth game, how they played in December. They had Anthony Robinson on the right. Surely not. Is that actually true? Did they really have Anthony Robinson playing as the right winger? Is that actually true? They need a right winger, if so. Sorry, it's not on screen. Yeah, it is on screen, isn't it? If they had Anthony Robinson playing right wing, he definitely starts for them. The thing is, I agree. He's shown flashes, but he's got to show more. And I think we forget. Do you know what the nail in the coffin for me was? There were just 2 nails in the coffin. You wouldn't think this, but I'll show you. Oscar Bobb. Oscar Bobb is 22 years old. So I know progress isn't linear, but Oscar Bobb is 22 years old. He turns 23 at the end of the season. So 22 is not young. Let's go over to Manchester City's current squad. Where's the current squad? There we go. Ryan Cherki is 22 years old. 1 month younger than Oscar Bobb, August. Ryan Cherki is 1 month younger. So Oscar Bobb's role, I think we'd all agree, is currently for the Manchester City side, is a wide playmaker who dribbles and creates. Oscar Bobb is a wide playmaker who dribbles and creates. Who's better? Cherki by some way, right? He creates goals, he scores goals. By a long way. That is the standard. Now, look at Semenyo when he's come in. He scored 2 goals and got an assist. He should have 3 goals and 2 assists in 2 games. It was 3 goals and an assist in 2 games. That is the standard. I think if we're being totally honest, Cherki has shown what the standard is to play for Manchester City out wide. And he's not even a winger, really. But that's the thing. He occupies a very similar ideal to what Oscar Bobb is. And if you play Phil Foden on the right, he's going to get more assists and score more goals than Oscar Bobb right now. Semenyo's 24 as well. Very similar. He's 25. No, he's 26, Semenyo, isn't he? I swear Semenyo's 26, mate. I think you're a bit wrong off in the age there. I swear Semenyo is 26. He's 26 years old, Semenyo. He's just turned 26, yeah. But either way, the point I'm making is that Oscar Bobb is the same age as Cherki, and Cherki is miles ahead of him in his development. I think that is the realistic conclusion. We have to accept that. Unfortunately, Oscar Bobb, it's time for him to move on and probably try something new. He's a cracking player, Oscar Bobb. I really like him. I really do. But right now, I think this might be the chance for him to go and try something new. I've got an awful lot of time for him. I don't think Oscar Bobb has more potential than Cherki, if I'm being honest with you, mate. I think Cherki has potential to be Ballon d'Or level. I truly believe that. I think the best version of Cherki, if Cherki carries on upwards, the best version of Cherki is as good as Hazard, good as De Bruyne. It's that level to me. I agree with Bailey in the chat. It's the intent. I know it. Yeah, I agree, Bailey. You know me. I know I'm talking about Cherki there in goals and assists. It's not just that, because I'm talking about raw numbers matter, but the thing that for me is frustrating people, and as I said, people who follow me on Twitter know, I was saying at the start of the season, I got a lot of kickback. There was something didn't feel quite right about Oscar Bobb, and it is intent. For example, he wasn't getting his shots away. It's not like he wasn't scoring goals. He just wasn't getting his shots away. He wasn't creating chances. Oscar Bobb, he just looked a little bit like he was waiting to be told what to do, and that is not good enough, unfortunately. You have to obviously follow team instructions, but you have to find that conviction. And I think a lot of that's confidence. My worry is Oscar Bobb might be a bit James McAtee. And I think the difference between James McAtee and Ryan Shirky and Phil Foden and Cole Palmer and Oscar Bobb, I think two of them, out of the five I just mentioned, I feel two of them aren't necessarily the most assertive, confident players. I feel, unfortunately, might be wrong, but I feel mostly, if you're going to be a forward player, you have to have a healthy level of arrogance. Great chat, Bailey in the chat. McAdoo could not wait to score. I know it was just Exeter, but I'm sorry, McAdoo's getting a shot off. If McAdoo gets 5 minutes at the end of the Premier League game, he gets a shot off. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong, unfortunately. It's about aggression. It's about hunger and desire. I'm not saying... I know that sounds... They're such easy buzzwords, but there is an element of that. Guardiola, the greatest manager in the world, talks a lot about hunger and drive and energy, because these are the intangibles that matter. Like, there are many players as talented as the players that might play for Manchester City, but the difference between the elite level players and the very good ones is always mentality and conviction. Yeah, I know there's the technical ability difference, but I truly believe that. The ones, for example, look, Jack Grealish is a weird comparison here, but I think Jack Grealish is a great example of a guy who's not cut out for the top because he can't keep up the conviction. I think to win 4 leagues in a row and keep playing and play at the top for 10, 15 years, you have to be switched on every single season. It's very hard to find new motivations. And I don't doubt Oscar Bobb or McAtee's professionalism. I don't doubt that for a second. But what I do wonder if Oscar Bobb has the right level of healthy arrogance. Maybe he needs to find it, you know? Maybe his confidence has been knocked. But I want Oscar Bobb, within reason, I want my wingers and forwards to think about themselves. Like, they should be. Like, you know, if you can somehow balance, you know, team results and player results. For a defender, you want it to be 100% about the team and 0% about themselves, right? You want that. You don't want a defender thinking about his aerial stats and all that kind of... You want him to be entirely locked in with the team. And I think with forwards, I think they have to be like 60-40. Like, I think they do. I think they have to think about themselves a little bit. Are you telling me Haaland and Aguero, look, don't care about goals? You tell me Mahrez doesn't care about his numbers? Of course they do. I think you do have to have a little bit of healthy arrogance. I think you have to care what people think to an extent. I think you have to care about your numbers and your legacy. I think forwards like to score goals and create. And I think certain players are perfect little pupils. And I think that's great, but I don't think it helps when they're trying to push themselves further on. And I think James is a bit similar to McAtee. I think McAtee's incredibly talented, but he's such a nice lad. I actually want him to think he fucking deserves it. I want McAtee to think I'm better than him, because he is. I look at what, you know, Dewsbury Hall's doing at Everton. Like, when he was at the start of the season, he looked brilliant for Everton, Dewsbury Hall. And that's a random example. Or James Garner. People like that right now are doing well. James McAtee is as talented as those players, absolutely, but he's miles behind them right now. And I'm not saying Manchester City level, but, you know, we look at what Ndiaye is doing, you know, at Everton as well. All these Everton players for some reason. But these guys are as talented as them. But you have to have a fucking bit of conviction. You have to have a bit of conviction, believe you're better. And you have to go for it. You have to push yourself. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, there's nothing wrong with a mistake. Like, you know, the saying is God loves a trier, you know. Like, Pep loves a trier. I love a trier. The young player, or the player that shoots and tries to make things happen, is always more exciting or more valuable than the one who just tries to, who hides, who doesn't force it. And I'm not saying Oscar Bobb ever hides as such, but I think I'm feeling there's a roadblock somewhere, and I don't see the intent. I don't see the spark right now. And I suggest I don't know how injured he is right now. I don't know how injured Oscar Bobb is. I don't really believe it fully. Like, he probably is injured, but I don't feel he's injured. You know what I mean? Like, does anyone else feel the same? I feel like something's happened there. And I feel like he's been looking for a move this January. Maybe I'm wrong. But to me, I don't know. Something stinks a little bit. And if it smells a bit, it looks a bit stinky, and sounds a bit stinky, doesn't make any sense, then maybe it is stinky. No, there's something going wrong, man. There's something going wrong. I don't know. It feels a bit wrong to me. So unfortunately, I think this is the end of the road for Oscar Bobb. And I wish him truly, utterly the best. He's got so much quality, so much character when he plays at his best. And he's unavailable, yeah, that's what he said, yeah. yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. He finds himself again. I think this could be a good move for him. Guys, thanks for watching. I will be live later on, of course, for the Bodo Glimt game. I don't think I'll do a preview at this point. I can't be bothered. I'm going to go out with the family and get out and get some fresh air before the game because it's kick off. For now, though, thanks for watching. There'll be a Martin Gay like proper breakdown tomorrow evening or Thursday morning. I'm not decided yet. Obviously tonight will be the Bodo Glimt coverage. Tomorrow morning will be 5 things learned. But maybe tomorrow night or sorry, I was just reading the comment there. Yeah, but it's probably Thursday morning, maybe potentially for the gay video. I don't know. We'll see. For now, thank you for watching. By the way, the last thing I'll say is because Victor just mentioned it. I think Nunes is fine. Don't worry about it. That's not informed, but I think Nunes is fine. I think the internet. There's lots of like rumours going around about Nunes and all that kind of stuff. I think people are just being a bit silly. There was a lot of rumours about Richie Dunn at one point. A lot of rumours about David Silva at one point. Blah blah blah. We see it all the time. People get giddy, and it's usually Chinese whispers. And people like to. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's fine. Well, I don't know. I can't prove that, but I think it'll be fine. We'll see. I probably shouldn't even mention it, to be honest. I don't think it benefits anyone to talk about these things. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Bye-bye.